Challenges. Yep, I've got challenges for you as an employee and as an employer on what the heck is happening in HR. For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. So, I want to chat a bit about what's going on in our workforce. We have a talent shortage, no doubt. There are lots of jobs, but we can't seem to line everything up as to what's going on. So, I want to lay out a few things that I think you should consider. So, let's talk about the employee first. Employees, you need to look at your skills. It isn't just what you graduated with, it isn't just the trade school you went to. It's not the class you're currently enrolled in. It is all that and more. And you need to keep those skills up because what happened last week is different than it is now. I mean, the technology changes are enormous. I am so excited about the world of AI and what it will be doing to create so much better, so much more information out there. And the better part of that is it allows those of us who have kept our skills up, kept our knowledge up, and kept our critical thinking up and our curiosity, if you will. I think we call that intellectual curiosity. For those of us who have kept all that up, AI is just going to be a remarkable tool because it still needs some humor, yes, but it needs some human interaction because we need to be able to understand what it is telling us. It's just like data. You can have people give you data, but they can't tell the story of what that data shows. So that's why we need to be able to dig deeper into that and really understand this. The world of machine learning is just going to be enormous. And if you think you're just going to ignore it, you're not. Those are the same thoughts that people said, "No, I'm not learning how to do that on a computer." Well, that was transformational to people, to homes, to relationships, and to the workplace. The same is going to be true for AI. You cannot ignore it, and you need to understand it. But even in your own field, whether it's how to capture lab results or the latest IT that's out there, or how to do research, or even if it's the latest in what helps when you have a disgruntled customer in front of you or a disgruntled employee, whatever those skills are, this is your career. This isn't the responsibility of your employer. So, whatever you learn, you always take with you. And it's always in your basket of tools to be able to pull out to wherever you are. So, for employees, I challenge you to continue to upgrade yourself. Make sure that you're on a path to pull in more and more things of which you're curious. Employers. So, we have this talent shortage, but you are doing things the same way you've been doing them. You're recruiting the same way. Your application is still boring. You're not putting out your employer brand out there. I don't know what you do. I don't know who you are. I don't understand what the community is. I don't understand what your mission is. You haven't delivered on that promise for people who were even hired to what you told me it was going to be. We can't continue to do this. We can do better. Yes, it takes some time. Yes, it takes some investment, but there is nothing more important to your business than the people. If you're a landscaping company, a landscaping, and you're doing lawns as well, if you do that business, you all have lawnmowers, you all have hedge trimmers, but it's the people who aren't flicking out their cigarette butt in your yard aren't the people that you want to be there for your customer. I mean, I'm just surprised at it. And so we need to be able to do that. Let me give you a real example of this. So I have a trip coming up and I had my tires checked. I had, a vehicle inspection because I had some work to be done, and I'm driving a vehicle that's got almost 324,000 miles on it, and I love my Lincoln Navigator, my 2002 Lincoln Navigator. So the tires are wearing down. Well, my tires are under warranty. So I went to the local shop and I said, "Hey, my tires are wearing down." They looked at it and said, "Yeah, they're wearing down fast." I said, "Well, they kinda look dry rotted." And they're like, "Well, we wouldn't say that." Well, of course they wouldn't, and it's a corporate shop, so I get it. So they told me that I had a prorated piece on my warranty. I was like, "What? If I have a warranty and these tires are under the warranty, why wouldn't you just replace my tire?" They said, "Well, you've had the use of the tire for the period of time." So I said, "But if I had a blender and the blender broke and I'd used the blender for 9 months, are they only gonna give me, like, part of the blender back? I mean, wouldn't they send me a new blender?" I don't understand that philosophy around it. And I said, "And you're going to charge me to put the tires, which I'm only having to be replaced because they're not going to make it through the warranty, and you're gonna charge me to put them on? I don't understand why I'm being charged when it's a flaw in your product." And he said, "Well, let me see what I can do." And he was just great. The guy's name was Jimmy, by the way, and he was just amazing. And the manager at the store, named Pat, was great as well. And they were really working on it. And he said, "Hey, you can welcome to call our corporate office because we're a corporate store and tell them what the situation is. You've been our customer for over 20 years. Call them because they usually will do something." I called, and I called the corporate office and told the situation, and she's like, "No, you have to pay the prorated amount." And I said, "Is there a customer loyalty department?" These were her words. "We don't care about loyalty. We treat everyone the same." Hmm, wow. So when I hung up and the people there at the corporate store heard that because I even repeated, I said, "Did you just say you don't consider loyalty and that you treat everyone the same?" And she said yes. And I said, "Okay, I thought that's what I heard you say." When I hung up and then spoke with the customer people there at the store, they were shocked that that's what happened. But here's what I see from the employer point of view. I learned through those folks at the corporate office, they sold the customer service call center to a big call center. And so they were just reading off the script and what the policy was. Where previously they were kind of homegrown folks and that they knew, had been around, they understood the impact of having customer loyalty. But I do want to say that the local office then said, "We're not gonna charge you for this. We're not gonna charge you to put them on. We're not gonna charge you for the balancing. We're not gonna charge you for the road hazard that you had on the previous ones. That's all we can do. That's all that's within our power to do, but we want you to know we appreciate your business." I share all that because employers, you did a great job with customer service skills or hiring people who wanted to solve the problem of the customer, but you didn't support your employees at that corporate store. And when you just turn it around to a place where I'm going to call the 800 number, and now I'm just in this big call center getting an answer, you're really not understanding your business because the cost to replace me as a 20-year customer who had tons of tires and work done is very different than trying to get a new person in. That $200 that I ended up needing to pay, it will cost you a whole lot more to get a client and get a customer who will stick around for another 20 years. So, my challenge to you, employer, is you have employees who are continuing to develop their skills for the workforce that's going to be needed, whether it's at your place or not. But your policies, employer, your decisions on cost effectiveness to not even have, if you will, a portion of that call center pulled out for customer loyalty is short-sighted. And it also means you haven't trained your customers, your employees or your call center employees as to what it means to be able to keep people you need to keep. And so my challenge is to the employee, keep your skills up, keep your career going. And to the employer, you're not going to be able to keep customers if you continue to make poor business decisions. And without customers, you're not going to have employees, and that hurts the workforce. And if you're trying to hire for the workforce you have in the midst of this talent shortage, then for goodness sake, if you're not going to be loyal to 20-year customers, how are you going to be loyal to employees that might want to be there for 20 years? You're sending them a message you don't care. Now, this might not be all, of fragrance and flowers here in a wonderful, HR's all happy world. But HR is a business, and it's in the business of people. And we want our people to grow, and we want our businesses to grow because it helps our communities grow. And we can't do that if we're silent. And so our managerial courage today here at What the Heck is Happening in HR is to challenge both of you to do better. And we know you can. And one of those ways is to listen to the podcast every Monday at What the Heck is Happening in HR.